Right, well, I'm with Dev Sangani, who is Director of Strategy and Capability for the UK and Europe for Sky Media. So welcome, Dev.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Zubair couldn't make it. He had to pull out at the last minute, but Dev is a more than capable replacement. So thanks for joining us. Obviously, we're talking about content in this session, and we have this long-term trend for increased investment in content. How is the industry going to pay for this? I mean, do we need people to watch more TV, to see more ads? Do we need more subscriptions, higher ARPU? Or are we actually looking at a sort of a medium-term battle for market share, and we're just going to end up with loads of winners and losers at the end?
Yeah, it's a big question that a lot of people are contemplating right now. With this increased investment, how does the unit economics work? And I think the tough story is, in the short term, it's not news to anyone here, we are going through a cost of living crisis. Inflation is at record highs. The consumers are really tightening their belts. And we saw that in Q1, there was something like 1.5 million fewer SVOD subscriptions, right? So there is a tightening, and that you really need to look at the willingness to pay. In the short term, everyone's done what's easy. And I'm very happy for that as the ads guy. They've come in and started doing advertising, right? And that's always a quick and easy win. But in the longer term, it's a battle for time. And it isn't a zero-sum game. That's really where your value is. How can you actually how can consumers spend more time with you? Can you take things out of gaming? Can you take things out of social? Can you take more time? Can you actually also think about your model in a slightly different way? Like, Disney actually has an interesting angle here with all of the universes that it creates. Then it cross-franchises that into gaming. Then it can actually think of all the merchandising around that. You've seen Netflix trying to do bits and pieces here as well with live entertainment, the Casa de Papel experiences type thing, experimenting with game. So I think the way I look at it is, you have to prove value to the consumer in the long term. You do that by taking more and more time and engagement, and that's how you can drive the ARPU, that's how you can drive the revenue. But with that content investment, you cannot look at it as just only being monetized in one way anymore. It cannot survive on SVOD. You need to have advertising, you need to have the franchises, you need to be going out and looking at different ways of playing with that content.
Okay, so it's share of time versus other entertainment sources that is the key to success.
Yeah, I think so. And we'll talk about it a bit more, but there's other non-linear, there's other ways you can think about it too, right? Like, how can you do, we've seen a hell of a lot of content. I mean, everyone talks about Netflix not having advertising, but there's a lot of product placement. But how do you think about things from sponsored content also to purchasing journeys, right? We're in a very unique IP-connected world with apps and all kinds of other things going on. How can you interact with your customers in different ways as well? So I think it's time for content monetization in different universes, and it's also looking at your monetization model more broadly, if that makes sense.
Okay, and just focusing on subscriptions specifically, do you think the appetite for subscription TV has expanded because of streaming? I mean, is there a bigger overall market for subscriptions, even if they're not the big subscription, but in total?
Look, definitely. I mean, the short answer to that is definitely. I mean, before this pay-like model, we essentially only had pay TV and free-to-air, right? Now something like 60% of the UK pay for a subscription in some shape or form in a given year. So I think that's a clear yes, and that's been amazing. As a consumer, we've seen a huge proliferation of content, which is great because it's awesome to watch TV. It's amazing at the moment, but it's made it difficult because at the same time, whilst yes, people have subscribed more, yes, that pie has grown, it isn't sustainable from a unit economics point of view. There's challenges on churn, which is why you're driving all of that content investment pipeline. So the total pie has grown, but I'm not sure it's grown in a fully sustainable way yet. Okay.
What has to happen to make it sustainable?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the start. I don't know whether we will see, in the US, you've got the 4 subscriptions per subscriber kind of per household kind of thing. That's shrinking. In the UK, it's around 2.5. Do I think it's going to go to that level? No. I mean, I think it's going to stabilize or come down. So is there room in the market for all of this content? TBC. But if you can start to look at things differently and start to generate more money in different verticals, like I said, we talked about in the first question, then it does become a bit more sustainable.
Okay, and just talk us through what Sky's been doing and what you are doing, in terms of sort of monetizing your content, sort of expanding the addressable market for subscription TV. Because I mean, you started out very early with the sort of the pay lights, and obviously you've got Sky Studios, so there's a lot there.
Yeah, for us, it's always about being consumer-centric. That's one of our key things. So, 10 years ago, we noticed there's a gap for Paylight. We launched Now TV. We know that content is the most important. Content is king. It's overused, but it's the most important thing. As Sky and Comcast, we're the largest content investor on the planet, which is a nice place to be. Whether it's sports, the best of the US, or some of the Sky originals. I mean, we've got some pretty amazing stuff now, and it's a real tilt. I think from the long-term investment we've given in the UK with Elstree, which is coming, our studio spent over $1 billion there. It's coming on stream soon. Given having that access to high-quality studios is incredibly difficult, especially in a tight environment and a tight content environment. So it's given us another competitive edge. But more importantly, if we look at us, base products in a way, and I think we'll come to this in a second, but it's clear to us that we've seen a fragmentation in a sense, and it's all about, simple and easy, all in one place easy. There's a reason that's why that's our slogan. How can we bring in all the content into one place? How can we make it super easy to watch, find, and enjoy, and continue watching, so you stay in that content ecosystem? That's what we've been focused with Sky Q, which is award-winning and continues to be an amazing product, even though it's over 5 years old, and we've taken it to another level with Glass.
And in terms of the content, do you look at Sky Studios as a differentiator? I mean, is original content a way to keep people on the platform for longer?
Oh, most definitely. If you look at some of our content that's performed incredibly well, it's been Sky Originals. If you look at, of course, everyone's really excited by House of Dragon and again the best of the US. But if you look at Gangs of London, if you look at Brassic, if you look at some of the other big things that we came out last year, it actually also really helped us during a year where there was a bit of a lighter content slate. Having all of our content was incredible differentiator, and we've seen it as that's where more and more where we're tilting towards. You'll see Gangs of London 2 coming out. You see This Is England, which is actually quite fascinating. It's like another tilt on, on the UK government at the current moment. So you're seeing us diversify a little bit more from what we were doing before into high-end premium dramas, the Chernobyls of the world as well. And that diversity, that breadth, those movies that we're building that franchise for, and it's global in nature, has really helped us, I think, as a business.
Okay, and where does Sky Showtime sit into this kind of portfolio? Because this is your joint venture with Paramount and NBC, obviously. But.
Yeah, it's a separately run entity. We tend to do that as a business. It's a separately run entity. It's going after the markets that we're not operating in. Clearly, there's a huge appetite for our content there. I'm super excited about it. It's gearing up and it's going at it right now. But it's a separate entity for us, not managed within our business at all.
Yeah, but classic example of sort of amortizing the cost of your content across more markets.
Exactly. Look, I mean, the original strategy as well, where we own those rights, own the distribution, getting more reach and getting more awareness across multiple different markets. And again, as you said, monetizing it directly in a different way, that was another way of thinking for us as well.
Okay, and we saw that lovely collection of direct-to-consumer studio services that Jack showed in his slides earlier. And in theory now, studios with a direct-to-consumer service, they don't need an aggregator. That's the theory, of course. I'm not saying that's in practice. But why do they need to be on your platform? I mean, the first thing that seems to happen is they come straight to you and sign a deal to go on as an onboarded app. But why?
Yeah, we're very privileged in that sense. We've got a lot of different relationships that have lasted over a very long period of time, from whether we've been buying the content to now, obviously, the direct-to-consumer side. And I think it's a win-win. So I'll start with, why do they do it? First of all, if we take the UK, we give immediate, broad distribution. You're talking about 10 million plus kind of households. That's very valuable. If you have to build that up and actually spend the acquisition dollars and do the marketing, of course, a lot of these places don't need to spend as much on marketing. Still, it's incredibly valuable to just have access to that base. The second thing is, and we have a varying amount of deals you can see from fully bundled all the way to a la carte. There's a real benefit from working with us. We have world-leading churn. We really know how to manage customer base. And I think it was said in the last one, if you're a pay TV business, you've been doing this for quite a while, and we've got it to record levels. And that's why we're also super valuable as a kind of bundled content partner, because we can give you the distribution, we can give you that wide reach, we can also help manage that kind of churn, and we are some of their best partners in that sense. From us on the flip side, and as I say, there's lots of different deals, whether it's just fully a la carte or fully bundled. We operate in lots of different ways depending on how our partner wants to play with us. But on the flip side, for us, it's incredibly valuable too, because as I said, we're a consumer-centric organization, and our customers want to come to one place, turn on their TV, and be able to watch the amazing content that they've got access for, and they want to be able to find it easily, and they want to be able to seamlessly engage with it. And that's why I think for us it's a win-win on both sides. That scale, that customer management, and also from our perspective, that customer experience, that improvement in customer experience means it's a great deal.
Okay. We'll open up to audience questions in about 4 minutes, and I've got more questions about D2C, but on Sky Glass, can you just talk us through that? I mean, what does that achieve for Sky?
Yeah, I always say it in quite a lofty way. For me, it kind of revolutionizes a bit of TV and definitely in advertising too. But it was a natural step for us to go glass to glass. We now control the ecosystem from recording to what you see. And it was a simple transition in a sense. I've talked about being consumer-centric. If you look at the TV world today, with all of that crazy jargon, that complexity around what type of screen, what type of sound, Ultra HD, Pixel, whatever, it was so complicated. So how did we, and all the different sizes too, so that's the first thing we did. We made it simple and easy. 3 sizes, all the tech you need, beautiful, amazing, a kind of almost furniture-like. We also, made sure it didn't cost the earth. We built it ourselves, so it's really good value. Obviously, you can get it on a subscription model, which is something quite different too. And it's, carbon neutral. So that's important for us again as a company. How do we make sure that it doesn't impact the earth in a negative way? But the most important, well, not the most important thing, but if you look at the consumer centricity and the design principles we've had, it's now, you don't have to go into different places. It's so easy. It's on-demand, linear, all of these kind of definitions that we've made as an industry, app, not app. It's just not there anymore. It's just, use your voice. You can search through it. You can search through an actor or content type. You can seamlessly play from, one provider to another. A good example is always Grey's Anatomy, which flips between lots of different people. You as a customer don't need to worry about this anymore. You can just watch the content, find the content you want, super easy, all packaged in a way that you like. And I found, honestly, when you look at that experience, and it sounds like something simple and easy to do, it is revolutionary because people spend more time, they watch more TV, but also they enjoy it more and they watch the things that matter to them. And then from an advertising point of view, which is incredibly important as well, it's fully IP, it's fully digital, it's fully connected, it's fully addressable, has all the data and infrastructure around that real time. But with voice and other ways to interact with that, it unlocks a lot more. And I think we'll talk about it in a second, but advertising needs to evolve too. It's not just slots and spots and interruptions, it needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, before we do that, it looks to me like Sky Glass gets you in front of the smart TV interfaces, so you're always the first thing people see. I mean, is that a kind of a deliberate strategic play to make sure that you can't be people don't get attracted off to other things before they reach Sky? Yeah,
look, clearly that customer interface is incredibly important. When we looked at it, frankly, it just wasn't good. Like when we looked at what we've done with Q, and obviously we're then the first thing on the the HD cable, as it were, the first input. Why don't we go one step up? Why don't we just make it amazing? Why don't we actually change the way the TV industry works, make it simple and easy? Why do you have to? So yes, of course, but actually it started with a consumer problem. And all of you must know this, the fragmentation of trying to find stuff, and then you mess around with the different interfaces. It's so incredibly complicated. And it's not, to deliver what we've done, it requires knowledge of how TV works, everything we learned from Q, all the deals and the data and the integration and the relationships and the partnerships with all of our, our app providers, it's incredible. It's hard. And so for me, that experience when I turn on my TV, it's just game changing.
Okay, and just on the advertising, you know, advertising has basically subsidised subscription TV, not just free TV, for a very long time. Do you think that model continues as healthily as it has?
Definitely. I mean, definitely. We're seeing another resurgence in the interest of advertising. I think that's also because it's relatively easy in some people's minds to turn on and do. I do think advertising will change. I mean, we're already seeing that in some senses from that transition from linear to on-demand. The difference in ad loads and the unit economics, again, are slightly different. And for me, from a customer point of view, at Sky, we're always a bit different too. We don't look at how do you do the biggest ad loads. We look at how do you make the experience as good and seamless as possible. How can I shrink those ad loads? How can I make money in different ways? How can I use addressable technology? I mean, you know, by making ads more personalized, what we learned many years ago with AdSmart, if you make an ad more personalized, the customers are more likely, 50% more likely to watch it, 50% more likely to remember it. Again, a win-win, which means we can charge higher yields. And then if you go back to, you know, what does it mean for our industry, similar to other parts, we're seeing fragmentation of ad inventory as well, right? So lots of places are building or trying to develop high quality inventory, whether it's Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever it may well be. And one of the things that I think we do really well in Sky is be a partner of choice for the sales house. And there's a reason behind that. You know, TV's power has always been in brand. You know, as seen on TV still does actually mean something. And you need to be able to have that mass reach. You need to be able to pull it all together, which is what we're doing with, you know, one of our strategic priorities of one campaign. How do we sell everything together in a simple, easy way? You need to be able to measure it as well. I think that's one of the things a lot of these streaming companies haven't quite figured out yet. How do you put it into the TV measurement ecosystem so it plays well with everything else? We're doing that as an industry with CFly. But at the same time, the data, the insights, and the technology and the innovation that we're doing to move us away from just being those interruptions, I think makes us a really valuable partner, because we are about how do you make the content experience as great as possible while still generating that yield.
Okay. Now, we've got time for some audience questions, so put your hand up if you do have one. I mean, I've got more, but I'll give you a few seconds to think about it, then I'll ask one and I'll come back again. Okay, gentleman in the middle. I think that's Simon again, is it? Yeah. Just announce yourself, Simon, for everyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. Hi, Simon Murray from Digital TV Research. Sorry, someone's got to ask the question, but it's fallen on me, I'm afraid. Do you think that Sky will still be using satellite technology in 10 years' time?
Look, I think there's a world for both, right? At the same time, there's the IP and glass and the pucks that we're developing at the moment means that we have a completely different headroom and addressable space. But do I think that we're going to solve all connectivity and every customer to be, you know, have a super fast streaming connection in 10 years' time? Possibly. But there will always, I think the DTT world will always service that, you know, that ecosystem. Now, if in 10 years' time, everyone's got super fast, we've got the 5G, it doesn't really matter, and you can be in the Highlands of Scotland and get great TV, fantastic, we'll turn it off. Until then, we'll make sure that our customers have access to all of our great content in whatever way works well for them.
Okay, there's a lady up the back there, on my far right.
Hi, Marianne Halford from Altman Salon. Dev, I thought it was an interesting comment that you made about you continue to be a strong ad sales house. As we begin, I mean, obviously, you've built a significant business representing a lot of the channels coming in from the US and selling their inventory. Should we expect you to be striking deals with the likes of Disney Plus and Netflix and others as they begin to build their AVOD models?
Look, I think we are in, you know, if we look at the UK and if we look at some of the subscription numbers of Netflix and look at the overlap with our customer base, I think we're in an incredibly good place to be providing an awesome service for them. I can't comment on what's going to happen or where their direction of travel. I think we would be a good first partner of choice. We have sold Disney's advertising in the past and continue to do so. We are, I think, renowned for our media partner portfolio. So we're clearly going to have conversations. I think it would be a win-win on both sides. As I said, you know, there's the addressable ecosystem, which I think we've helped shape, and some of the innovation that we're doing. Glass unlocks a whole bunch more. We clearly understand the subscriber base. We've got some interesting levers to play from a data and partnership point of view too. But at the same time, they might take the easy route. They really might. They might just go and try and do a global deal, or they might try and sell something programmatically, which I think will massively undervalue the content. I think it would depend on some markets. Like, to go back, if you look at India or some of the emerging markets, if you look at those ARPUs for Netflix, maybe there's something you can do around that. But if you're looking at Western Europe and some of the developed market where they've taken a lot of price, and look at the way the TV ecosystem works and the pricing of digital versus on-demand versus linear, I think it would be a shame if they didn't come to some of the TV-first organizations, which will generate more yield, which have better understanding of the experience you want to do, and probably be able to help it grow faster. That's my view.
Okay, that's a great question. That's a very exciting
Yeah.
development. Okay, last question, 30 seconds, please.
Colin Dixon with N-Screen Media. Your parent company in the States has decided there's an opportunity in the platform market, has formed a JV with Charter to start selling TV platforms. Do you think there's the same opportunity for Sky here in Europe?
Look, we've already, when we launched Glass, we already announced one of our first syndication partners with Foxtel, actually, in Australia. Obviously, there's some shared history there. We're clearly in lots of discussions. I think when people have seen it, first of all, I should get a commission because I usually get to sell quite a few of them. But when people have seen it, and when we talk about what it enables from a customer experience and an ad tech perspective, and all the cool things that we built into it, it makes a lot of sense for TV broadcasters. So we're clearly in lots of discussions across Europe.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, Dev, thanks very much for all your insights, and it's lovely to have you here.
No, thank you.
All right.
Cheers, everyone.